Oh, looks like the export's finished on DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is quite a scary tool. What I've been doing is, I thought I'd try and watch there was a 5-hour video, like a tutorial for DaVinci Resolve. I found it on YouTube. So anyway, I looked at that, I started to watch it, and what I realised almost within the first 20 minutes is a lot of what the tutorial was talking about was not so much about the tool, but about the methods you should use to edit videos. I'm familiar with many of the methods because I've been using LumaFusion for years to produce some home videos. So instead of watching that 5-hour tutorial, what I did is I just jumped straight into DaVinci Resolve and just started trying to use the tool. When I came up with an issue that I couldn't do something that I wanted to do, I'd have a quick look around, and there's plenty of menus to look through. I had a quick look around. Some of it is fairly intuitive. For example, what I was wanting to do was to normalize some of the audio levels. So you can right click, and the menu on the right click on the mouse is contextual. So depending on what you've selected, menu on the right click mouse button can change. But in here it just says normalize audio levels. The other thing I've been doing is just playing with some of these buttons on the tool. Click a button, move some clips, see what happens. I find that way of learning for me is a really easy way to learn. Try some stuff, it doesn't work. Try some more stuff, it doesn't work. If eventually I can't figure it out, I then go to YouTube, do a quick search, or go to Google, or AI now can come up with a reasonable suggestion of what to try. But more often than not, there's a clip on YouTube that just tells you what you want to do. And over the last 3 days, I've progressed massively using that method. That works for me because I've always worked in this way. Learn as I go. And this is one of my principles for the channel, learn as you go. So cut a long story short, for the first 2.5 days, it was really frustrating, really painful using DaVinci Resolve. And I think halfway through yesterday, I kind of got over the hump. And now my workflow is really quick in the tool. And I've discovered as well this tab. We've got tabs down the bottom here. Let me run the screen recorder. So yeah, DaVinci Resolve, I'm starting to really enjoy the tool. I've only been using it 3 days, but it's 3 days quite intense learning. What I've realised, one of the massive wins for me is in the cut tab. It's a really amazing feature, I find, because I'm recording from Samsung S20, the Dell computer screen recordings, the Mac Mini screen recordings, my little action camera, screen recordings on the iPad, screen recordings on the iPhone, and then general images, graphics, sounds, audio, and video clips. I've created this structure, and I can pull that in to my media pool. If I go here, you can see this is my media pool here, and all of the clips, photos, images are nicely ordered. But what I was going to say is this cut screen is actually really quite amazing. If I select up here, for example, DJ Osmo Nano, and then over here, I'll hover over it so it tells you what the name is. It's called source tape. So I've selected DJ Osmo Nano. You've got all of these clips. I've sorted these so they're in date, time order. So the first clips are first and the later clips are last. It sounds obvious, but if you don't do that, then this tool doesn't quite work. So providing you set the sort, the date and time. So if you click source tape, you can create an in and an out point. Let's create an example here. Let's play this. As it's playing, as soon as you get an in point, here's a good in point, hit the I. It carries on playing. And then you think, oh yeah, there's a good out point. Let's hit the O. Let me go to a point in this edit where we're kind of in the center. So what we've got here, there's two clips, and this is the joiner for the 2 clips. So if I go back to my source tape, I've got my in and out markers here. If I hit F9, see what it's done down here. It's added that clip in between those 2 clips where my playhead was. Let me undo that. Or if you go back to source tape, if you hit Shift F12, it adds it to the very end. of the timeline. And the amazing thing is, I can think, well, that's my little DJ Osmo action camera. I can select Samsung, which I use for my main talking head videos like I am here. I can switch to there and it creates this source tape with all of these clips. And I can also go to the iPhone. There's only 3 clips in there, but it does still create the source tape for this. And it saves me a lot of time jumping around trying to find clips. I can just use this cut page, create this rough edit down here, and then when I'm kind of happy with that, I can then switch to timeline view and start doing the detail edit. I found this cut page using this method, the source tape method, just saves me hours of effort. I was dreading editing this repairing broken oven door hinges video because I had 2 lots of footage from the Samsung S20 phone. The first lot was taking the oven door apart originally. Then I had to take the hinges out, identify what the problem was, put everything back, order the hinges, and then when the hinges arrived, record all of the footage again, taking the oven door apart and putting it back together. This cut page, it just, as long as you sort, like I said, by date and time, it creates this source tape and it's all in the right order. It's all there. I don't have to start moving things around, finding things. The only thing I have to do is make sure when I save the actual video, I need to save it in a sensible way. So this is the video I'm talking about here. This is the video I'm talking about, and I create this structure within every project or every topic that I create a video about. So when I upload the footage from this camera, the action camera, the Mac Mini, the Dell, the iPhone, whatever, as long as I put it in these folders, this folder structure, when we come into DaVinci Resolve and we're pulling the media into the project, we can just drop it straight into this. We drag that folder structure and drop it in here, and it creates these bins automatically. And then when we come to the cut tool, we just select here which bin we want to use, and it creates this source tape. It's brilliant. That's all I want to say about that for now. What I've realised in the last 12 weeks is you really got to think about structuring how you save your footage, how you store your medias, because when you come to edit, particularly with DaVinci Resolve, because DaVinci Resolve allows you to pull entire folders into the editor, it makes sense to store your footage in the right way so that when you pull it in, it makes the task of editing much easier. That's all I really want to say about DaVinci Resolve and how seriously impressed I am with this cut page and the source tape function, which works really well if you structure your media correctly. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's exit that one. So there you go, that's it for this video. I really am starting to like DaVinci Resolve. If you liked the video, if you found it useful, give it a thumbs up. If you want to, add a comment down below. And all that's left for me to say now is thank you for watching. Take care, have fun, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.